you still play music? I see you got some stuff.
Yeah, so I play. I don't like play any. I don't play out with anybody or like have a band or anything that a project that I'm in. But I definitely have like a multi-instrumentalist. You know, I can sing and stuff like that. I know what harmonies are. You know, just the kind of the basic rule of thumb on music. Like I could be a guy that sits in with a band and like leads them the right way, kind of shit. That hair's dope as fuck, dude. It's just long, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, man. I'm gonna do a little count in and do a count in, and then we'll fucking rock this shit.
So do I look at the camera? Do I look at you? How? Okay. Cool. Cool.
If you want to like say something to the audience, people, that's cool. Yeah. I do that sometimes. You'll see me. I look over. This kind of.
Gotcha.
All right, man. Let's rock this shit. A little stretch. Make sure my shit's intact. All right, cool. And 3, 2. You talking to me? I'm talking to you. And this is Talking to Me, Talking to You. And I am joined by James Dapper.
What's going on, brother?
Welcome, my dude. Thank you for coming out. Seriously.
Of course, absolutely.
Like I was telling you, it's really cool when guys like you and cats like you hit me up, just like not knowing who I am, and then just like kind of having the confidence to reach out and like try to network and do some stuff with people and just come and have a conversation. It's fascinating to me, dude. That's why I was saying, like, I love doing that for like the scene, just trying to link the spider web the city has, you know. So thank you, man, seriously, for coming out.
Sure. Absolutely. You got me out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Welcome to the bins, baby. Dude, it's funny because
a little nervous. I'm like, oh man, I should have brought something with me.
No, it's fun. Like, it's funny for us out here, like, because we always go towards the city to do stuff. I mean, obviously there's stuff popping over there, but there's like such a weird, like crazed talent music scene and artist scene over this way. Like, I from coming from this side, I try to like just like scream it to the mountaintops, you know, because like, so it's cool, man. I like just blending it all together, getting everything kind of going, and that's kind of what you do with your music, man. You know, like very multi-genre kind of sound. Like I hear like synthesizers, like new wave stuff, obviously hip hop influence, R&B. You got a really great singing voice.
Thank you.
So where's that kind of come from? Where's those influences kind of come from?
So when I was a kid, you know, my mom was a DJ. She DJ basically my whole like childhood.
Okay.
And her
Like what kind of DJing?
She DJ weddings. She mostly DJed at clubs, but she just DJ whatever.
Okay,
she was just a freelance DJ. She just went she had a couple club gigs that she would go every night. She'd bring about $500 in every night, and you know, DJing or more than that. So I think that was like the lowest she would bring.
Yeah.
So she was set. That was what she would do every night. You know, maybe she would take off weekends like Saturday, Sunday, but you know, Monday through Friday she was working DJing. And I remember what it did was it exposed me to a wide variety of music, and she used to go to everybody's records and buy like CDs, and she didn't know about iTunes where you could just buy like one song.
Oh, okay.
So she started buying her music on my iTunes and then, you know, burning them to disc and then, you know, that's like what she was doing. So she didn't have to buy like a whole
record.
CD. Yeah, exactly. And it was cheaper for her to do that. And it put a bunch of different types of music on my iPod, and I'm like, listen to this. I'm like,
yeah, so you're just
this is interesting.
You're just hanging out at the house or doing whatever, listening to her tunes.
And I remember I got into like I was in a pop punk. That was like the first thing I got into.
No shit, that's awesome.
I don't really listen to it too much anymore, but like I was like in the Never Shout Never and We the Kings was like my favorite band. And stuff.
Your vocals kind of like I could see where that kind of spawns from. Yeah,
for sure. Thank you. And then I remember a friend of mine. He was like, this is garbage, man. What the fuck are you listening to doing this shit? He said, you want to listen to some good shit? So he put me on to like a lot of like 80s style music, a lot of like Phil Collins and Genesis and I'm trying to think of anybody else.
The big 80s drum.
Tears for Fear. Yeah.
Shout,
Tears for Fears. Yep.
Shout. Oh,
exactly.
Dude, I love that stuff.
And from there, it was that. Then we got into indie music. So like the two.
Like the rock, kind of indie rock.
Like indie rock, indie pop. Like, trying to think, Tudor Cinema Club.
Yeah.
Foster the People.
Okay.
Who else is around that time period? You know, all these bands. Metronomy. It was a lot of like indie rock, indie pop artists. Peter, Bjorn, and John. That was another big one.
Okay.
And there's a lot of artists that I was being exposed to, and it kind of I guess it was kind of like my childhood. I never really felt like I had a particular set of people who I would hang. I just hung up with a lot of different types of people.
Yeah, I feel you there. I did similar. Yeah, get all the different lunch tables and shit. Hang out with all the different kind of groups and shit. Yeah,
and that's how I feel like my music is, because I don't want to be like, I wanted to just be creative and I wanted to be unique. I want to be myself, and I'm inspired by so many different genres of music and types of music. And finding a way to blend them all has been very difficult, because I've been trying to do it since, 2010.
Oh, okay.
And I just probably got good about 2019. So it took me, I'll say 2018.
That's how it works, man.
It does take a while.
It's like almost like this first few years are like college course. You know, you're just kind of learning it. You're kind of just like running at it. And then like you hit this peak after about 4 to 6 years and just start clicking, man, and things just start like making sense to yourself.
It's like everything just to me, you know what it feels like? It feels like when you watch The Karate Kid, and they're doing all these motions, and you're like, what are they like?
Wax on, wax off.
And it has a big montage scene, and it's like you couldn't imagine how that would work in a real fight, and all of a sudden he's just putting everything together. I feel like everything all the bad songs I wrote through, and the bad production I did, and all the, I guess, just bad shit I put together, came to me just like, oh, okay, so I at least know the formula how to write this song. Like, as now I'm writing, it's like I see everything that I did wrong, and I was like, all right, well, I'm not doing that shit. And the things that I was doing right, and it wasn't always bad.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But the things that I did do right, it just kind of helped me push me in the right direction. So it's like you're learning what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah, you're getting the puzzle pieces every time you do something, and because you'll always do something right. You'll do something that was the right thing, and then you just take that puzzle piece that you did right in that, and then take that into the next thing, and just continue learning. And it's funny you talk about the Karate Kid and that motion stuff. I mean, I'm literally talking my buddy Caden. He, my camera guy. We've been working on his reflexes. I'm like, man, if we drop a camera, I want you to catch that shit, So I've been kind of just like, every time like he wants something, I'll just like throw it at him, and I like try to get him to catch it, because he didn't play like handball sports, so he doesn't like catch. So I'm like, I'm working on his reflexes so he can. So that's funnily like comparative to that, and that's really what it is. You're kind of like unknowingly mending these skills together for your bigger picture later on in life, when you kind of can puzzle it all together mentally once you got those pieces. It's cool, man. I love watching development of people, and so like a lot of stuff I listened to from you has been released in that time frame you're talking about, that 2018 the now, and you've done a lot. I mean,
talking about bad shit down.
Yeah.
I did this. I was like,
there no more.
It's not. I got it. You know what I'm saying, but like, it's not. I took this shit out, man.
So, but your most recent was we all lie to ourselves sometimes.
We all lie to ourselves sometimes.
And that was like, that piece itself, like, because of everything I've seen, that was like the first example, like an EP, like a thing put together, and it was so different from each song. Like, you have like, there's like acoustic guitars, and it's like more like broken down, almost like what you would hear like what like more folk style is, obviously with the pop influenced in there still, and then like synthesizer. So when you like go into making a project that's so diverse, how do you decide like what kind of sounds you want to really get into it?
Well, that's a good question. I think thematically, I didn't really have like, I went into every song as like a single idea. I didn't go in like thinking of this grandiose idea, but there was a theme at the time, and it was, I think everybody can relate to this. It was like a theme of depression. Through the pandemic, I experienced my own form of depression, and it was like a lot of eating, a lot of overeating.
Yeah,
that was probably the main one.
I think a lot of us did that. I got to like 190, dude, and had to start working out and shit.
I'm 5'6", dude. I got to 200. It was pretty bad, man. So I basically was writing songs through this lens of this kind of like feeling of like depression that I wasn't really truly being honest with myself about. I knew it was there, but I didn't know how bad it was. And so that's why I called the record "We All Lie to Ourselves Sometimes." I was writing the second song, which is called "The Most Common Lie," and I remember writing the song. I remember finishing it, and then I kind of like was scrolling through songs on my iPhone, just listening to songs, and that song came up, and I'm listening to it. not even paying attention to that. It's me. I'm listening. I'm like, man, whoever wrote this song is fucked up. Whoever wrote the song is they got some shit they need to work out. That's fucked up. And then I was like, oh, this is my song. I wrote this shit.
Oh, shit.
I'm fucked up. And so that was like instantly when I was like, yeah, I gotta call this out. I gotta call this. We all lie to ourselves sometimes because, like I said, it wasn't that I was lying that I had depression. It was I was lying how serious it was. It was something that I really needed to work out. Well, work through. So I decided to start exercising and working out and eat better and take, vitamins.
Yeah,
and,
man.
Whatever else Joe Rogan tells me I should. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, man, we got more common than I thought. I had a real similar path, man.
Yeah.
I started dealing with some health stuff around 2019. I had this fungus in my lungs. I was coughing for like a year, man, and it was crazy. Like, I thought at first maybe it'd been asthma, but I could run and like I could, and it wouldn't like shut me down, which my doctor was like, that's weird. So then ended up kind of like working out, started running twice a day, just like to make the shit work, like make it work out, like, and then just slowly I kind of stayed on that and repetition. 2 years later, it's good for your mind, man, more than anything. Like when you feel like all of your ducks are in a row, then you can just lead the pack to the destination,
Absolutely.
It is, man. It's a great mindset. I just talked to a buddy of mine, Matt Waters. I don't know if you know Matt Waters, but I was on his podcast and I just talked about like just the mindset of just doing it. Like everyone talks about shit. Everyone talks about like their feelings per se, but no one actually like enacts like a self program to try to make those things better with those small, like we're talking about, this little minute detail shit that we kind of learned, those little puzzle pieces, like that works in everything. Like if you take that stuff in your life and just learn how you're supposed to kind of take care of yourself, then it ends up evolving your artistry too. I mean, that's at least my take on it. What I've experienced is, people take it a little more serious when you take yourself serious,
Absolutely, man. Just being, I look like I at one point in time, I looked like I ate the younger version of me. So I was like, I need to do something about this. I don't feel comfortable. I was buying larger shirts, and I was like, yeah, I need to do something about this. I really needed to, and I decided to, man. I dropped about 25 pounds.
Yeah, same. It was around the same. Yeah, I went from 190 to back to 160. And dude, us as, men, dude, we continued, our bodies grow until we're like 32 years old. Like we get thick, dude. Like our shoulders and chest just keep going, man. Our thighs get thicker. Like, so like that coming on, I mean, if you don't, then dude, we're just gonna get huge.
Right.
I mean, you see like probably these dad vods around, dude. I mean, that's just how it is.
Absolutely, for sure. I totally agree.
So I did see some stuff. It's funny because you reached out to me to do the podcast. I actually just did a podcast with a mutual friend of ours, Mike Heffron.
Mike or Nick?
Mike.
You do one with Mike?
I did one with Mike, and
I didn't even know that.
And I did do one. Nick was here.
Mm-hmm.
I did one with Nick here, and then I did Mike's podcast. And so I did see randomly just popped up that you guys were working on something.
Yeah.
So what's your guys' relation? How do you guys know each other? And also like what's going on over there?
There's nothing that I mean. Well, let me see. I know Mike through Nick. I met Nick through Josh Jessen. Are you familiar with Josh Jessen?
No, I don't know.
Josh Jessen is a pianist. He's out of Cincinnati. He recently moved to Chicago a couple of years ago. He was in the band Phlox. Okay. And I was at a Phlox concert, and he was like, "Oh, you got to meet this guy. It's Nick Heffron." And I'm like, we're talking, and then all of a sudden it comes up. We go to the same studio. I'm like, he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go to Moonlight." Like, you go to Moonlight? You know, Eric? He's like, "Dude, I helped build that studio." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, me and my brother Mike have been going there for years." And so, from that, let me tell you something about Nick. Nick loves music. I don't think I see Nick unless if his music.
Oh
related.
yeah, 100%.
I don't think I've ever just. Actually, that's not a lie. We kicked it at Price So Chili one time. But
of course, the chili price, man.
Very rarely do I see him outside of music. And then I don't remember how I met Mike. I don't remember how I met him. I'm trying to think how like we got together, but I know it was through Nick. I know I met Nick first, then I met Mike.
When did you meet Nick? What year? Do you remember?
2018.
Okay, so was that like on the very end of like the Infinity Spree stuff that they were doing?
I think at that time they had put they were either working on the Infinity Project or they were like kind of taking time away.
That
from
would make
it.
sense because I think that's where they recorded a lot of stuff was at that studio for that project.
They did, and they started working with a guy named Nuge, who I also got linked up with.
Yeah,
yeah.
Nuge
is a good guy.
Yeah,
Nuge is a really good guy.
Yeah, he's really, really good at what he does too, man. Like every project he does is like a fucking movie, dude.
I agree. No, he's a good guy. Great, very, very talented. And yeah, how I'm trying to remember exactly how like me and Mike got connected. Because like I remember meeting Nuge, I remember meeting Nick, but meeting Mike, maybe they were together somewhere. Maybe I went to see Sunday Drives. I think it might have been, and I met Mike at a Sunday Drives concert or something.
Well,
like
now
that.
you're saying something, bro. I remember I know the exact moment I met Nick, but I do not know when I met Mike. Holy
Sorry,
shit.
Mike.
No, I love that motherfucker too so much.
Mike is
dude.
a good dude. Mike is a good. I just seen Mike Friday night. We were at a concert together.
Who'd you guys see?
There's a guy named Tricky Ethan.
Tricky Ethan?
He is one of my favorite like artists from the city. I just met him this summer, and he is moving to Japan in January, and this was his last show. But this dude is super talented. I'm gonna have to play you some of his stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody, if you guys are watching this, check out Love Hotel Demo. That is my favorite song by him. His project is incredible. He's got like a really cool lo-fi quality to him. He's sick, man. He's very talented. Does everything himself. Records, plays, writes, does it all.
Oh, so that was the question I was going to ask you. So who does a lot of your production for your instruments, your instrumentals?
Me and Eric.
Is it you?
Me and Eric. I would say that we work to get like it's almost like I feel like Eric is part of James Dapper. Like he is. We come in and we have I come in and we have this just great relationship. I've been going to Moonlight since 2013.
Okay.
So, actually, no, 2012. Actually, since 2012.
It's deep roots in that thing.
Yeah. I've known him for a very long time, and we were, like, I used to just bring production to him. Like, I would produce something at home, and then I would bring it and sing over it there. And then recently, a few years ago, well, I guess 4 years ago now, I came and I was like, hey, I want to try to produce something with you. Like, I want to try to, like, come together on something. And I love working with Eric because if I have an idea or a vision that maybe I might be too much of a novice to bring to life, he can come through and be like, all right, let's take this idea and let's do this. His studio sounds so good that some of the ideas that you have that might not be like they might sound stupid or they might feel like they're gonna be stupid. It sometimes will just work because he just knows how to put it together.
Yeah, the right effect, verb, puts the right sounds onto the sound.
Exactly, and he's always like, we're doing weird stuff like turning our voices into synths, or I remember he had this pen and this Diet Mountain Dew can. He hit it a couple of times, and then he like put a flanger on it and did some modulation and turned it to us. It sounds incredible, bro. It's incredible. I love that song that we did that with. So yeah, we're always trying to push the envelope and do something new.
Yeah, well, that kind of exact shit reminds me of, and it's been much more like, especially with the lo-fi hip hop stuff, definitely more of the clicky, all those different cool sounds you can just get by like tapping and flicking like a book. Doing some cool sounds and just utilizing your effects. One of my best examples is Nirvana. Like Kurt Cobain for Nevermind brought a bunch of like little toys, like little like squeaky toys and little pring and put them all hidden in the tracks of those songs. And it's grunge music, so like there's like parts where like when it goes to breakdown, he'll like make a steam sound, go like, and just like cool, goofy, little intricate sounds that you just kind of throw on top of the song to make it more, you know?
Exactly.
And that's just so interesting to me. Like, you ever look into Queen much?
I love Queen.
So, dude, I mean, that was another one that, like, they would fucking hang speakers on the ceiling and swing them in front of a mic so they can get pan stereo sound before it was even like really invented. It's like, what the hell? Like, just being creative in a creative place,
Absolutely. Being creative is the most important part to me. It's just like having fun, going in there, doing something that's like, how can we... actually, being creative is not the most important part. I feel like having something musically sound is more important. But on top of that, bringing creativity to that. So rather than just playing acoustic guitar, some chords you've heard before, singing a good melody, blah, 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 it's like, let's bring in some drum machines and then blend it with real drums. Let's bring in some synthesizers. Let's bring in some some actual like Prophets and Moogs and Junos and Jupiters, and let's really see what we can get out of this.
Throw it all at the fucking wall and then
Exactly.
pick out like some things that we feel like would sound good together. Because anything can sound great together. I mean, like what was that one cat that was doing like the spoken poetry? What's his name? He's super big. He had that that video, the Tiny Desk video. Oh man. But like they're just in the backyard, just clicking and clacking, and he's just spitting poetry, and it became huge, and it's just like that's what sound is, man. Like you can create sound. There doesn't have to be a drum set. You can get a couple pieces of wood and a fucking tin can, and you can make something great, especially with the capabilities of digital technology, man.
Sure.
Like any idea can be composed into this magnificent thing. So for those kind of ideas, because I like in the vocals, I notice you guys do a lot of pitch modulating and a lot of like kind of like almost like gaining out some of the stuff, and then like I said, you have like a lot of featured vocalists come on. So how do you kind of picture that together with those ideas? Like, are you just kind of like, dude, I just kind of want to do this simple thing, and then it kind of extends into something bigger once it's there, or do you kind of have it thought out and then?
No, it's not. It's not thought out. If it was thought out, it would take me a lot longer. Because having an idea, I have songs that I've written by myself, and bringing them to the studio is always frightening because I already have like an image of how it's supposed to sound in my head. So getting those sounds so particular is difficult. Like that takes a lot of time. But oftentimes how I go in with nothing. Like I have like maybe like a reference. Like, hey, I don't have any chords, I don't have anything, but let's, see what we can come up with today. So maybe I'll have an idea. We'll talk about a story or something like that, like what's going on in my life. And then we just build it. And we just it's just off of experimenting and have fun with it. And then, I listen to it. I take it home. I write to it. I bring it back. And then we're finished with the song.
That's awesome. I mean, that's the point that's happening like that, and then you're getting what you're getting, dude. I mean, you found your formula, which is, it's cool to find that, man. Like for us, we do film and stuff, and we were a run and gun kind of go team for the longest time, and about a year or two ago, we kind of stopped and we're like, okay, let's start like flossing this out. Like let's get this stuff nailed in and like have a contingent plan to go for, and it changed our game up. But movies are much different. Music for me, I always found it easier to do it on the spot and kind of find the sound and find the notes and the chords and the rhythms and progression that kind of goes. With the movie stuff, we had to find like we could do that, but then you notice that things are missing more, for us. So like we had
what?
So just like we wouldn't set up a light right, or we wouldn't set up we we wouldn't know the scene the best, or we just didn't have that extra stuff written to kind of have us ready. Like instead of us like knowing that we're going to shoot like this, it's like, okay, we're just kind of going, catching the moment and not really thinking about what the angles are per se. But it's gotten to this enormous like stack of paperwork now, but it like that all for me, like it's either pre-prep or post-prep. You know what I mean? Like you're either gonna do it all beforehand, and then it's just there and boom, it's done, or you just do it and then you know how to fix it all afterwards. And that's the biggest thing too. That like doing it for so long, you kind of learn all those mistakes so that you can fix them. Like we get to the point where, oh, if we fucked something up, it's not that big of a deal anymore because we can fix the shit, And is there any kind of is there any that in the process? Is there kind of like, oh shit, like maybe we got to this point, the idea is good, but it's not getting to kind of the point you want it to. Like, do you ever scratch stuff like that, or do you just kind of just follow through and then finish the project?
Follow through and finish the project. I remember there was a song that I have out called Phoenix. I had to rewrite that song like 4 times because that was one early on we were working on. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. I'm happy with it now. And funny enough, I feel like most of my songs are more women gravitate to more. Femix is the one that the guys like really, really gravitate to. So
Okay.
that's something that I actually really appreciate because I did not know how I felt about that song prior to putting it out. But that was one where I was just like, hey, we're just gonna follow through. Eric, he really pushed me on that one, like, yo, you could do this, we could do this. I know we have something with this, and I like it. I like the way it turned out.
That's cool, man. And especially to have people around you like to push you, you
For
know,
sure.
because like you're everyone's their own worst enemy when it comes to creativity.
Absolutely.
Like you can in both ways. Like you could think it's a great idea, but it's shit, or it could be a shit idea, but it's actually great. You know, it's all perspective. You know, that's why you need those people around you to help you make good decisions.
Absolutely.
And like similar conversation I had with Matt. It was like me and Caden working together for 6 years now, and like I know that dude's gonna make good decisions because of the things that we've done and experiences I've had, and it's always a testing waters kind of thing with each individual you start to work with and do things with.
Right.
It's just about like who you are and knowing what you want kind of thing. Like, and once you get past the point of like just running around with the chicken with its head cut off, just kind of doing it, trying to find like anyone kind of stuff, you get to this place where you're kind of comfortable with like, I see the people in the scene. I know the ones that I want to work with, and then you can kind of project that into your focus. Like you reaching out to me, man. I mean, you're driving at your artistry. We didn't know each other. Had a couple mutuals, maybe, but the point that you're here having a conversation, we're talking about your music. I mean, that's going to get into some people's ears. People are going to hear that shit. People are going to want to know what is that? Who is this guy? And or same vice versa. Your fans, like, who's this guy's talking? Like what? And then they check out more people, and then that network spider thing happens, man. Just by understanding your place in the
ecosystem.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, man. I think that connecting is very important. It was something that when I was younger, I didn't really put a lot of focus on.
Same.
Focus so much more on writing and what have you that now I want to say I struggle with networking, but I definitely am behind. And yeah, it's important, man. It's important to not be an asshole and just reach out, just say hi. Just say hi to somebody. Like say hi, like get to know somebody. Like try to. I think it builds community as well. It builds support. And it's good to support somebody. It's to me, I'm always down to do. I don't want to ask anybody to do something that I wouldn't do. So supporting somebody, like whether it be coming on or watching or sharing a clip of yours, or you like getting on a song, playing an instrument, or sharing or coming to a show, what have you. It's so important for us to support each other.
Yeah, like gratitude.
Exactly. It's so important to do that because how else are we going to grow if we don't?
Dude, 100%. I agree with that 100%. And so, James, I got one last thing I want to show. I got this nice video pulled up that you did.
Uh-oh.
And with me being in the film, dude, I actually really appreciate a lot of this stuff. So, dude, first off, it's in this old school style.
Super 8.
Yep, Super 8 camcord fucking... So who did the video?
Only shooter left. His name is Marco Thomas.
Okay.
Good guy. Man,
I love your upbeat sound, man. It's fucking sweet. It takes me right because we made movie. I'm gonna show you a little bit of this movie we're working on. It's basically all synthesizer, like radio based crazy shit. So, who concepted the idea?
We both did.
Okay, you and the filmmaker.
Yeah, me and we'll call him Shooter.
Okay.
Me and Shooter, I came to him with this idea. He had the idea to do it all in Super 8, and we just kind of came up with the locations, figured out like what we should do, like using my house, using some burger joints.
Yeah.
I remember I sat with him and we probably edited this for like 6 hours. Putting different clips in together. It's truly collaborative. I like to be a part of everything that I'm in.
Yeah.
Because I want to represent myself in a certain way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's good on you, man. To know what you want too, because there's a lot of people necessarily just go, here's the idea, just do what you want, which is nice sometimes. Right. If you've got like for like cats like us, like we really dive into the story and shit sometimes.
For sure.
It's so cool, man. Well, it's such a simple story, but it's told in such a cool way, you know. It's like obviously a love song. It's a little about. It's just like it's that.
Simple.
It's that, you know, day out with your lady kind of feeling.
Right.
Dude. I mean, everybody has experienced this feeling and day, and the song just kind of, you know, lifts that feeling up.
Yeah, shout out to Gabby too. She's the model in the video.
Okay, yeah.
She's a musician herself.
Okay,
I don't know if she got music out yet, but I know she's working on some stuff. She showed me the other week. It was awesome.
that's awesome. I love when people like take the dive to start coming out with their own stuff.
She got a killer voice.
She ever featured anything of yours?
Not yet.
Not
yet.
There's a goal there for you. Yeah, it takes me like right back to the '90s sitcom stuff, man. Like, I love it.
We were trying to do some sitcom stuff here.
The matching T-shirts. Yeah, man, good ideas. You know, things that I can look at and see and go, ooh, socks, dancing, shoes off. Yeah.
I'm happy you appreciate this, man. I don't feel like
good storytelling, man.
Thank
Really.
you. When I was heavier, it was Big James back then. Yeah, man. I see that gut, I'm like,
Damn.
damn.
It's okay, dude. I got a photo to show you. Big Willie.
Love this part.
Yeah, man. Like I'm just here listening to like the vocal takes together, man. All the different layering you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Dude.
Thank you. Nick Efron.
Nick Efron.
He did the guitar in there.
No
He
shit.
did the guitar in there.
Dude, shout out to my boy Nick
He's
Efron.
awesome, man. He's
That
awesome.
guy, I say it to this day, that motherfucker is the best multi-musician in this city.
He's amazing. But before we close out, I want to address something that he said on this podcast.
Absolutely, let's hear it.
If you remember, I just seen a clip, so I don't want to take him out of context. I love you. I love you. Don't think I'm talking shit about you. But he has said something about writer's block. What was he saying? What exactly was he saying about writer's block?
So he's been dealing with it recently. He just can't seem to like get out of that cloud, you know. So and I because we talked about like different suggestions people have given him, like, you know, someone's like, oh, well, just write everything until you write something good, and then other people are like, well, write stuff down and then just throw it away, or write it down and just keep that in like a book until you come back to it. And he's like, those are all good ideas, but like I don't feel like none of them work for me. And I suggested to him to maybe like do like a group writing session of sort, but he's not necessarily into that as much. I just think it'd be just him as a multi-musicianist that can just sit in and hear everything. Like I think he'd be really good in a room like that, in my opinion.
I can see that.
And I think it might break that, because once you have other people kind of thinking ideas, it kind of like makes you think of ideas.
You know, my advice for anybody who's going through writer's block, not specifically for Nick, because I don't know what he's going through. I'd like to have a conversation with him, you know, to get more in depth about it and possibly offer him something, you know, some things that I do like personally.
Yeah.
But I think that it's best to figure out what inspires you, like what takes you to the place to where you are able to write. You know, certain people I've heard of, they like get up 9 to 5. That's their job. They write, and then when 5 o'clock hits, they're done writing.
Yeah,
that's what they do, and I respect that. I really couldn't do that.
Anthony Kiedis does that. The Red Hot Chili Peppers lead singer.
I've heard him.
He goes out to his balcony and writes.
Eminem, he does it.
Yep.
I think Taylor Swift does it. There's a lot of like songwriters who take it as a 9 to 5 type of job, and I love that mentality. I love that idea. Like I'm always trying to make music more like physical. Like I wanted to feel like something you could like, or like even process based, like something you can I'm trying to figure out the words to pull, but like something more grounded. I guess grounded would be better because oftentimes like music can feel like it comes out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, very. It's very motion based. It's very like you feel this hyper activeness inside. You're like, oh my god, this is making sense.
Right.
Yeah. No. 100%.
And it feels spiritual. It feels high. It feels like it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is great. But I believe it's best to try to find what takes you back to those memories. Like because I remember he talked about like childhood memories or something like that.
Yeah. You hear a song and it'd take you to a place because you heard it or a smell of some sort.
Like it's like what takes you back to those places, and then how can you get into those modes to inspire you? For me, I was most creative when I was a kid. So oftentimes what I do is I watch a lot of cartoons, and I've talked about this quite a bit. I watch a lot of cartoons in order to get inspired, to get me in that childlike state, and I start to feel like something feels like I'm somewhere else. It feels like I'm like in a different headspace.
You're a part of the adventure.
Yeah.
The grandeur
exactly.
adventure.
I'm something I feel higher. And I would just say like figure out what gets you there. Another thing you could do is you could, just start making some music and see what touches you, like see what like the first thing top of mind. Because for me, not all the songs I write come like from this grant. Like some of them you have to push through. Some of them are people's favorite songs that I wrote, and they're like, yeah, that was the one I really had to do a lot. There was no grandiose higher feeling. It was just like work,
get it done,
get it exactly, get it done. I remember sitting down just like feeling like, God, how do I get this?
Yeah,
Hold Your Hand was like that. Hold Your Hand. I remember we did so many different versions of that song, and Nick came in, he laid his guitar down. I'm like, all right, I have some ideas. I had some words, and I just played with words until I finally like took it somewhere. So I finally took it on a story, on a journey, and I was like, all right, this is where we're going with the song. And then probably somewhere about halfway through the song, when I get my first verse and chorus written, second verse writes itself, and then
comes in, yeah.
If I got a bridge, that wasn't always the easiest thing, but I mean, I kind of have like a way to get to it. Just like, I don't know, but I would say writing more often, sitting down, holding yourself accountable to write, even if it is crap, even if it is not good. Because what it's going to, again, all the stuff that I was writing helped me figure out what I don't want to do. Yeah. So now when I do sit down, I'm like, this is good, this is good.
Definitely don't want to do this. Definitely don't do that.
Exactly. I was writing a song the other day, and I was having a lot of different struggles with it, and I was watching some cartoons, and then I just went to this higher place. So I listened to a little bit of Frank Ocean, took some ideas, and I was like, let me like blend everything. And I just kind of took off with it.
And that's great advice, man. I mean, really, all that, like, like finding your way, but just kind of the push through, like the get it done mentality. That I feel like that does help a lot. Like, even if you're getting nowhere, like sooner or later you're going to. Exactly. It's going to happen for you.
Exactly.
And and good on you too, man, for like giving a shit. Like you see it, him talk about it. Obviously, he's in a place where he can't really write, but so you're like, just to say and want to have a conversation with him and talk and give a shit about it, because that's his thing. I mean, he's Absolutely. A musician. He likes to write, and it's hard for people that go into that. I mean, when I was younger, when I was writing more as a musician, writer's block is the worst shit ever. And I would deal with it most of the time. Like, honestly, I had to smoke a little to get shit out.
That's where you go.
And some people, and that's, it's a thing. Like, everyone has their different way of getting to that state of mind where they're comfortable just kind of throwing shit on the page.
For sure.
Dude, I appreciate the shit out of you. Thank you so much for coming out and talking with me, man. It's been real cool, man. I'm glad I got to meet you. Thank you very much, James.
That's James Dapper with 2 P's.
Yeah. Go check him out, man. He's on Spotify. He's got SoundCloud, I'm assuming. You got Bandcamp, all that stuff. Go find him there. He's got great music. It's
Thank you, man. Thank
wonderful.
you. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Have a great day, man. This has been Talking Me, Talking You. Thanks for watching.